First of all, thanks for coming in. Thanks, Chair, for allowing me. Horse Sport Ireland, ye issue books for horses? Just quick fire questions I'm doing. Okay,
yes, we do.
Right. Why is there such chaos in your organisation at the moment? We are getting people ringing us up on a continual basis that you're losing DNA samples, you're not issuing passports. The amount of passports that has to be issued even from 2023, there is something gone very wrong with your organisation. What has gone wrong?
Thank you, Deputy. We're in the middle of changing over from...
hold on now. When you were in here before, you were in the middle of changing over. And that's a while ago. So I'm sick of listening to changing over.
No, when we were in last November, we were actually only concluding the tendering exercise. So we are in the last days of testing the system and expect to go live with a new system in the next week or so.
But can I just come in on something there? I have it from breeders here in front of me that you're not putting out books at the moment. You cannot get a passport at the minute or even an update of ownership. But if you pay the €150 extra, like the quick passport that you get when you go up if you're flying out of the country, you can get it then. But if you go the ordinary way, it's being held up. Now, we're hearing it from breeders all over the country that your organisation is in disarray.
Yeah, we did have to stop processing
the passport. Stopped?
No, just hear me out, Deputy, for a second. We've had to stop processing anything other than an urgent application so that we could migrate the data from one old system that we're retiring to our new e-passport system. So we've had to stop in order to allow that changeover to take place. But at the same time, we are conscious that breeders will need to do things in an urgent fashion, like a change of ownership. So we've kept that facility in place for them.
But would you admit that you're that it's things are between DNA samples, and this is all going back to the problem we saw the other night of no accountability anywhere. This is the problem. Would you admit that ye at the moment are not functioning like ye should be in an effective way?
Well, Deputy, we're in the middle of changing over IT systems, and we're expecting to have that new system up and running within the next week to 2 weeks, and that will mean that breeders will be able to apply for their passports. We have, prior to the changeover, initiating the changeover in the last 3 to 4 weeks, we have issued passports.
Okay.
And I'm explaining why we might have no passports for things. No. Right, that's okay. The other questions have been asked. I'm going on to the department. Michael, in 2016, SI 201 2016, basically that was changed. So signature of a seller is not required for the transfer of ownership of an equine. Why is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the details at the time were, but I know it was changed. And my understanding is that it was changed because people in the industry said the current system wasn't working. So we changed on the best advice at the time that the new system would work better. And I think in hindsight, it's not working very well. So okay, I think it's definitely something we should, it's on it. We've a list of about 10 things that we've already decided we need to look at pretty quickly, and that's certainly one of them.
Because at the moment, in fairness, with cattle, the AIM system, this minute, the department knows where everyone's animal is, right around this country. What is the pushback that's coming? Is it from the thoroughbred, the horse sport side? Where is the pushback coming? Because we're hearing this pushback coming again in the department doing an AIM system. Because I don't care if there's 90,000, there's about, 2.5 million calves born every year. We're able to, within 1 week, have every card for them. You have a book. They know the sire and the dam. Purebreds are commercial. Why have we heard a few years ago this was happening? It's still not happened. Why is there not a DNA sampling when we know it's an embarrassment at the moment for Ireland to see that the EU is actually going at this now? It's an embarrassment for our country because we always took pride in our horses. We are now the focus of the rest of Europe. And for the good people that's at it, it's an embarrassment for them as well. Why have we not gone in and resolved those issues ahead of everything? And I don't accept, I heard you earlier saying that you didn't get the footage. You have a special investigation unit, isn't that correct? They have Gardaí powers with them. They can go into RTE or anywhere they want with a warrant from a judge, and they can get whatever is required. Not 2 weeks later, but the next day if they want it.
No, just to be clear, it's not a question that there's any difficulty on RTE's part in handing over the footage. There wasn't, same as with the Marts thing, you know, last year or whenever it was. There's no difficulty. There's a few legal issues that they're working through about chain of custody of the footage. So that's the only thing that's delaying it, and it's not because of any obstruction on RTE's part. Far from it. You know, it's just that they want to make sure that when it comes to bringing prosecutions, which is, you know, obviously the ultimate thing, they want to make sure that the Gardaí in particular want to make sure that the chain of custody, when it comes to the footage, is so that's all it is. It's not.
Can I ask you a question? Why next week, if any of us go to the mart and where there's a horse or where there's horses for sale, the week we can buy a horse, and it's up to us when we'll change the ownership. If I go to a mart or Tim or any one of us to buy an animal, that's into our herd that night. That the minute we buy it, what's wrong, or what's the reason that I can decide? Sure, look what I can do it in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. Why is the reason that if someone gets a phone call that owns a horse and training or whatever, that the horse has died, and that horse shows up 2 years later, and they contact you in the department, they contact Horse Board or they contact the breeders, that no one ever calls to a person or no one investigates it, or the Garda didn't investigate it. If that was cattle missing, the department would have the Gardaí on it, and rightly so, and they'd have everyone on it. What's the reason that there's such leniency with the horse sector?
Yeah, I don't know that it's a question of leniency, you know, but it's a question that it is more complicated in horses, whether we like it or not, than cattle. But that's not an excuse, you know. We've been trying since 2013 to tighten the screws in relation to horse traceability, and to be fair, I think we've made a good bit of progress. But obviously, there's still a long way to go. And the big thing that's been put forward as being the thing that will really change the game is the e-passport system. This is the thing everyone has been calling for, this electronic system. So that's in place on the thoroughbred side since 21, and we offered an 80% grant to encourage others to get it.
Yeah, but in all fairness, how many crowds are giving out these passports?
7 in Ireland.
But hold on, how many is giving them out for cattle?
1.
And how efficient are they?
Excellent.
Yeah. So what are we going around dabbling with 7 different crowds getting money, and none of them able to function to the potential that's required to make sure that we have a passport straight away? Can we bring in a system? I remember this going on before in this committee, and it was agreed that the AM system would be brought in, that we would have a system that basically you'd have your passport rapid for your horses. This is a long time ago, and it's still not there. We have this embarrassment now. A lot of money goes into the horse sector every year, voted on by every one of us here. And I'll tell you one thing, we'll be thinking twice about voting for it after what we've seen the other night. Because the sad part about it is taxpayers' money that's gone in, and it's an embarrassment to see what went on the television, as you've rightly pointed out. Why isn't there the urgency to do, like, if you look at the cattle system, we have the best in the world, in fairness to them. You couldn't come in the department more. Is there not a lot of money going to voluntary groups or NGOs supposed to be on welfare? Where is that going? How accountable is that? Is there council VITs supposed to look at welfare? You know, is there a heap of money going out now and no accountability for it? And no results when we look at that television programme the other night. And on top of that, when a farmer puts in their single farm payment application, the maps they put in, they have to put in all their farm, and if there's a bit of bad ground or something that they cannot, or yards or whatever, that has to be excluded out of it, but it has to be still included. When an abattoir is looking for an application, is the whole lot not put in? on the map and that piece excluded or whatever.
So just on the bit about the welfare grants going to NGOs and stuff like that. So to be fair, like, so I think we give out something like 6 million or whatever it was last year. And about half of that went to groups that deal with horses or donkeys, mostly horses. To be fair to them, in my experience, they do a fantastic job. I wouldn't have any qualms at all about saying that, you know, the likes of, I'll commend in particular, there's a group called Hungry Horse Outside, which are over in Longford. And they were the first group that came to us maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago to say, look, there's a huge problem with unwanted horses in the country. And the biggest reason there's so many unwanted horses is because of indiscriminate breeding. And we need to do something about that. And I said, so what do you propose? So what they proposed was having free castration clinics where owners of horses could bring their horses. What was happening before that was stallions were being left run with mares, and the following year you had 10 or 20 extra foals, and it went on and went on and went on.
Michael, can I just say one thing? I'm sorry, Chair. I cannot have cattle or sheep without a flock number for sheep or a herd number for cattle.
Correct.
How come I can have a horse or 10 of them and I don't have to have anything?
Well, you do. I mean, the law.
But like, is it reality? Tell what's happening in reality?
Well, 20, you know, we brought in that in 2016 that you had to have the equivalent of a herd number, a premises registration number. So 29,000 people now have that, and you can't get a passport and so on unless you have a proper premises registration number. So again, that was another tightening of the screw. But despite all these efforts, there's still people finding ways of beating the system. And as I mentioned earlier on, the reason that there's an incentive to beat the system in horses is because of this thing of horses being marked out of the food chain. You don't have that in cattle, you know, but you have it in horses, and then it creates an incentive for a criminal to try and find a way to beat the system and get that horse back into the food chain and increase its value, you know. So, sorry.